All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm Justin,
I'm Ike.
and we are crazy
Crazy
about
about
cards.
cards.
Welcome to the show. Today we're going to get into a baseball episode. Today is our baseball episode. For the appetizers, we've got best places to rip. We've got ideas for cards that aren't already cards. We're going to get into in the meat and potatoes. We've got caffeine and conversations, our baseball editions. We've got a lot of topics to go over in baseball.
Yep.
And then later tonight, we'll be ripping 5 boxes of baseball. If you
Jesus,
guys,
Justin,
yeah,
that's a lot of that's a lot of boxes.
5 boxes. If you guys got any questions about baseball, next week we are doing Batman episode. Got a lot of Batman cards to open next week, and we're going to do a whole episode about Batman. Y'all have any questions about Batman, baseball, anything about cards in general, you want to email the show. We've just added an email for the show. It is thecacpod@gmail.com. THECACPOD@gmail.com. The cacpod, all lowercase.
Send all your questions.
All right, so first we're going to get into best places to rip. Ike, you want to start us off?
Well, shit. All right. So best places to rip. So I'm a big fan, believe it or not, of Justin, of that. Hey, I have lunch at work around 11:30. Let me just go quickly to the store, or if I'm at Walmart or wherever I'm grabbing food. If I see a tiny kiosk or anything, I'll find a pack, I'll buy it, and I'll just rip it.
Lunchtime rips.
Lunchtime rips.
I like it.
You're downing your Subway sandwich. You have a drink, and why not a few cards while you're at it? I've never had luck in those rips, but it's usually force of habit. Get it out of the way. How about you?
So one of my favorite places is at a sporting event. So if I go to a baseball game, I want to bring some packs of baseball with me and open it at the game. There's nothing better than that for me.
So you're not watching the game; you're watching the cards.
So I'm watching the game, but there's always breaks in between. When they're switching out, coming off the field, or between innings. There's always time. You got time.
But I mean, think about it. Like, how are you holding the hot dog? How are you holding the cards? Like,
so I have like a card saver box, not a little. It's like a little box, and I just keep them in there. That way, I can open them, put them back in, and then just carry the little box around with me.
Gotcha.
And then I'll throw some cards or some top loaders and sleeves in there. That way, if I pull anything good, I'll put it in there. What are some other places that you like to rip?
I'm a big fan of what I call the junkie rip. What is the junkie rip?
Tell me what the junkie rip is.
The junkie rip is when you go to Walmart, right? Maybe, I don't know, I was going to buy milk, or I was going to buy some meat for the week to meal prep. Cool. I'm going through the register, and you know how they have all the stuff in the side where they're just trying to tempt you to just splurge and like instantly buy? Well, they usually put the cards. They put cards there, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, baseball, anything. It's usually right there. They know what they're doing. So I'll grab a pack, or I'll even grab 10 packs sometimes. And then I'll be in the parking lot, and then I'll be like, okay, am I going to rip this at home? And I'm not. And in my mind, I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to rip it in the parking lot. And that's the junkie rip.
Yeah. Especially if there's like the last box there, you can't help but grab it. Like,
yeah,
the last one, you have to.
Last box magic. It's gonna be a good box. It has to be a good one.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. Is like just seeing the last box. Another place I like to rip is, believe it or not, the golf course. And this is another place where you gotta be prepared. You gotta bring, I bring my little card saver box out there, but the last time I went, I would open a pack every other hole. So like as I'm pulling up to the tee, just quick rip a pack, see what I got, tuck it back in the golf bag, and then ready to go. Yeah, I actually found that it helps my golf game because it just puts me in a good mood.
Really? Okay, so it's just a little mental pause. Okay, let me just rip this card. Let me just rip this pack real quick, see what I got.
Yeah.
So, do you get as excited if you rip something crazy at the golf course, or or you've yet to rip something like that?
Absolutely, because then I'm out there taking pictures of my cards on the golf course, and it's just, I don't know, I've enjoyed it. I sent you a picture of I think I seen that Gyarados VMAX when I was at the golf course. That's not even a huge card, but I was happy with it. Like,
Nice. I once pulled. I'm not gonna go into details, but I once pulled an $150 Yu-Gi-Oh card doing a junkie rip at Walmart.
wow. All right, well, let's get
Started.
into. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. No. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna move us on and let, if you still got something.
Oh no. Absolutely not. I'm good.
All right. We'll get into ideas for cards that aren't already cards. What are one of your ideas?
All right. My idea that I had was specifically, I'm just gonna use soccer as an example. Leo Messi, soccer goat, World Cup champion, all the stuff. Something that a lot of people don't know about Messi's career is that he never played in the English Premier League. His career was mainly mainly in Spain in Barcelona, and then later on in France, in Paris Saint-Germain. So what I think would be interesting is to have a what if situation with sports where you'll grab a picture of Messi, right, on a card and put him on a Premier League uniform, for instance, like Chelsea or something like that. You could do this with any sport, really. I don't know. Grab a Derek Jeter with a Red Sox uniform.
No,
Make it a very rare card or something.
I like this idea a lot. There's actually quite a few ideas I have for this. This would be like an insert, you could use, like you said, in any sport. It would be a what if, just like they did that show in Marvel What If. It would be an insert for cards, like for a particular sport. So some of the ones I thought of were, what if Shaq and Kobe stayed together? You could, they could have won quite a few more rings. I got, what if Drew Bledsoe never got hurt?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he has all those rings and not Tom Brady. I've got, what if LeBron played in college? So maybe there's a card with LeBron with a Ohio State or Duke or something. You never know. He probably going to Ohio State. What if LeBron played in the NFL? He'd probably be a defensive end, tight end, linebacker. Who knows? Wide receiver. He'd be crazy.
So talking about multi-sport athletes, did you know that Brock Lesnar, UFC champion, WWE champion, actually had a small stint with the Minnesota Vikings?
I actually do know that because I have that card.
There's a card for it?
Yes, I have a Vikings card. It's actually a pink prism of him in a Vikings, like him playing for the Vikings.
Did he look massive next to the other players, or everybody's just kind of that size?
I mean, he's kind of average. Like, when you step on a football field with those guys, like, they're just as big or bigger.
Okay. I did not know that there was a Brock Lesnar card. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'll show you whenever we get to football.
Sure.
Or wrestling, one or the other.
Stay tuned.
So another one I had was, what if Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith played for opposite teams? Everybody talks, Emmitt Smith had a great career. So did Barry Sanders, but let's be honest. Emmitt Smith played for a much, much better team.
Mm-hmm.
If Barry Sanders was on that team, oh my God! Who knows?
Something I think they should do. I don't know if they do it for baseball or any sport. Actually, is something Pokemon did. Pokemon for a while had cards that had two Pokemons tag teamed in one card. So there was a Mew and Mewtwo card. There was a Skitty and Warlord. They're just two other Pokemons. And there was a Magikarp and a Gyarados card together. So for example, the one that just comes in the head, Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. card in one card, father and son.
So those cards do exist. They have that. And they also have dual autographs. They've got the triple logo man, where you have like the logos from the NBA logo from their jerseys, and like 2 or 3 of them in a card from different players. They have some of those.
Nice. I have to check those out.
Yeah, they're nice.
Is there a Ken Griffey family card?
So I know there is a card where the two of them are on it together. I actually have one of those at PSA right now. It's getting graded.
Is it the iconic scene where when Junior steals the ball from Senior?
No, I think it's when they go back to back
home runs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good piece of baseball history.
So another insert I was thinking of that's not not that I know of already, but I was thinking of, and you could put this across some of the more popular sports, but I was thinking of the haymaker insert.
Haymaker. What is that?
And so it would be called the haymaker insert, and it would be guys that got into scraps or fought. So I thought, the Malice in the Palace. You got Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal,
Jesus
haymaker
Christ.
card. You got, Andre
Didn't Pedro?
Johnson and Cortland Finnegan, haymaker
Right.
cards.
Manny Ramirez.
Yeah, Manny Ramirez. Or there was a baseball fight a few nights ago. Jose Ramirez decked Tim Anderson out on the field. Actually
Yep.
made him fall to the ground.
I remember that.
So that was the other one I came up with. But did you have any others?
Out of my top of the head, those were my big ones. The what ifs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have a little surprise for you. A follow up. I've got 3 more athletes for you that you can guess what sport they play.
Oh God, we're doing this again.
I enjoyed this last week, so I wanted to bring up 3 more.
Sure.
So
Hit me.
First one I'll throw at you. Tommy Fleetwood.
Fleetwood. Tommy. He's American?
No.
He's not American. This is golf.
No. You're right. He does play golf. He's European. All right. Second one. You should know this. He's an American hero. All right?
Oh God.
No pressure. Joey Chestnut.
Oh, hot dogs.
Okay. I was just making sure.
The freaking glizzy gobbler himself.
All right. This one's not so easy, all right? Dick Trickle.
That's a person?
That's a person's name. Guess what sport he played?
Dick Tricky Dick. Let's see. Football?
Nope. He was a NASCAR driver back in the day.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Is NASCAR really a sport?
You're right. It's not. But I just thought the name was funny, so I had to throw it in there.
Gotcha.
All right. So we'll get into meat and potatoes. For caffeine and conversations today, we've got baseball edition. Caffeine and conversations.
All right. I've been waiting to drink this one.
What do you got? That looks interesting.
So this is the Pacific Aussie Lemonade Monster.
Wow. That's a lot going on that can.
I know.
Like
the can is so pretty.
Ocean scene or something?
Yeah. It has like fishes.
It's almost like a Pokemon card.
I know. Look at the octopi.
Mine's not as exciting. Mine's just a ultra red.
It's an ultra. Hey, it hits the spot. This is very lemonade-y.
All right, so now that we're in baseball, let's get down to it. First off, when you're talking about baseball, you're talking about baseball cards, you got to throw an ode to baseball vintage.
Yep.
Baseball vintage. I wanted to go over some of the top selling cards. The top 3. Take a wild guess at what the top 3 selling cards of all time are.
Some sort of Babe Ruth card.
Nope. You would think, but it's not Babe Ruth.
It's not Babe Ruth?
No. I can give you the year, but it's probably not going to. It might
Let me
help
just think. Lou Gehrig?
No. It's 1952 Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle. Oh, right.
Topps
Right.
Mickey Mantle. Yeah. So
wow.
The 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, one of them sold for $12.6 million.
What's special about it? What makes it? Is it just because it's Mickey Mantle?
Yeah, it's just an iconic card. You'd have to look more into it. More like I don't know all the details.
How many PSA 10s or BGS 10s exist?
So there's not many. You'd have to look those numbers up as well. I know that. Yeah, I don't want to put out any information that's not true. So you would have to look that up on yourself. How many of those are?
Gotcha.
The second highest is also a baseball card, and that's Honus Wagner, who played for the
Conan,
Pirates.
what years?
You'd have to look that up. I just looked up how expensive the card was. It was $7.25 million.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cases of beer.
It is a lot. Now, number 3 is not baseball, but the top 2 are baseball. Number 3, take a wild guess who it would be. Somebody modern, actually.
Derek Jeter.
No, not baseball.
Not baseball. What sport? Give me the sport.
Basketball.
LeBron James.
Nope.
Michael Jordan.
Nope. I said modern.
Like how modern?
Like he's still playing today.
Steph Curry.
Yeah. So Steph Curry had a National Treasures rookie patch auto that went for $5.9 million.
What?
Yeah. And that's because everybody likes Steph Curry more than they like LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry's a fan favorite.
So something unique about baseball cards that I think you can try to do in other sports, but I think it's not for me in particular, but in general, I think it is easier to make money buying and flipping cards in baseball than it is for football and basketball as far as the young players.
Why is that?
So with baseball, you've got prospects. You've got guys that come into the league. They're prospects. You can get cards of them in their team's jersey. Like Bowman has prospect cards with them in their team's jersey. And not many people are paying attention to AAA baseball, but if you're one of those people who pays attention closely to AAA baseball, you can see the guys who are going to make it in the league one day, right?
Right. So
and
it's like a rookie. It's like a rookie card, basically.
Right. So you buy up some of these prospect cards thinking that, hey, this guy's probably got a good chance of getting called up soon. Then the minute he gets called up, that team, all their fans want a copy of his card, and they go looking for him. Now, you're not going to make a fortune, but let's say you bought that card for $1. You could turn around and sell it for $5 to $10.
Oh,
and
really?
if you bought a bunch of them, there you go. Now, the reason it's harder to do in football and basketball is because you see them coming. You see Victor Wembanyama coming before the draft. So you can't get a Victor Wembanyama Spurs card until he's already been drafted. Everybody already knows about him. You can't get a, what's the quarterback that just got drafted? Any of the quarterbacks that just got drafted to their teams. You can't get any of those cards until they've already been drafted. Like you can't get guys that they're already in the league. They're not. Now you can unless you're like scouring the G League in basketball and like, hey, this guy, and even then it's a lot more far fetched to be like, hey, this guy's gonna get called up to the NBA. It's like, okay.
And it's interesting to know, something interesting to know is that it's almost part of baseball culture, having a card. Because if you think about it, a lot of little leagues make cards for their players. I just thought about that.
That's true. I had them when I played when I was younger. I got a magnet of a baseball card of me when I was a little kid on the fridge.
I gotta see this. You have your little league card?
Well, it's actually at my mom's house because she kept it.
What did you play?
So I played third base.
Third base? I was a catcher.
Nice.
But yeah, no, baseball and cards go hand to hand. I would say that.
And I'm actually, I really enjoy the baseball cards, but something that's been really interesting to me, and some people don't like it. Some people, they think it's fluff or they think it's garbage or they're just trying to sell more cards. But something I've kind of enjoyed recently is some of the stuff that Topps Chrome has been doing. And Topps Chrome has put, now this isn't my favorite thing, but it's an interesting thing. They've made taco fractors.
Okay, so wait a second. You said taco?
Taco fractors. They put tacos on their cards. Baseball cards with tacos on them.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this one to me, dog. Like what?
So they're super rare, right? So each player has 5 taco fractors. Only 5. So it's kind of like a very, very limited short print. You can find your favorite player in a taco fractor. There's only going to be 5 of them. So they're going to be worth a little more. Maybe it catches on and people love it. Maybe it doesn't and they just don't do it again. But I just think it's interesting. I think it's a good, creative try kind of thing.
Yeah,
Something
I'm
else
looking
they're
at
doing.
them right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them right now. It's just random.
It is random. I think they can do a little better job, like spice it up, make it look like Taco Bell, like throw more color in there. You know what I mean?
Maybe a little bell.
Yeah. So, however, there's another thing that they've been doing that, again, it's kind of mixed reactions, but I like them a lot. They're doing frozen fractors.
I just saw that. When I googled the tackle fractor, the frozen fractor came out. That card looks dope.
So the frozen fractors, they try to confuse you a little, right? They're -5 of 0.
Negative O because of the temperature.
Because of the temperature. There you go. So think of it like instead of having, numbered 1 to 5, it's -5 of 0. So there's -5 of 0, -4 of 0, -3 of 0, -2 of 0, -1 of 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. And those are the frozen fractors. And they have like a frozen theme, they're
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's like a blue hue almost.
Yeah, they're pretty sick looking. And again, they're pretty rare. Obviously, they're not more rare than like a 1-of-1 super fractor, but they're rare and I think they're interesting.
Have you pulled any Technicolor refractors?
I have pulled one in a break. I've got it in the other room. Somebody from the Brewers, I can't remember. One of their pitchers. Something else it's a different line, but it's also from Topps. They have Topps Cosmic Chrome, which is just launched. It was pre-ordered. It hasn't come out yet, but they've got some pretty interesting cards as well. If you look it up, they have launched into orbit inserts. They've got extraterrestrial talent inserts,
Oh my
alien
god!
themed, and then they've
Yeah,
got
I'm
like
looking at them right now.
supernovas and nucleus refractors. Just some very colorful, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're pretty cool.
And they got a Vlad Jr. card. I love Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, it's just it's fun. You like cards? At least they're making an attempt to make it interesting.
I know it's random but cool.
So another thing that Topps is doing, I'm not sure how long they've been doing it, but it's an interesting thing that I haven't seen really anybody else do it besides Topps. Is they have Topps Now, which is limited edition cards. So the other night, I forget the guy's name, but the Astros pitcher threw a no-hitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next day, probably not even the next day, probably that night, they go, hey, Topps Now, limited edition, this week only, buy this card of him throwing a no-hitter. So that card, you can hop on there. I want to say they're like $15. Buy as many of them as you want, but it's just a week only they're going to sell that card. Then after a week passes, boom, that card's never printed again. So it's an interesting idea. They also do it with their Star Wars. It's called the Star Wars like Living Edition or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got one of them I bought online from one that had already passed. Like I missed the limited edition. It's a Grand Admiral Thrawn PSA 10 of the Topps Now or the Topps Living Edition. It's pretty sick looking, but that card will never be printed again.
That's crazy. I'm looking at some of the Topps Now that they're offering. I see Messi. I see Aaron Judge hitting his 60th homer. I'm even seeing some WWE Ronda Rousey ones. I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit for this type of stuff, and like the market's there. Like if you're a huge fan, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a genius way for Topps to have you constantly on their site. Like,
yes,
something happens. Especially in baseball or Star Wars. Like, so yes, you cannot get the actual Grand Admiral Thrawn card that unless you buy it from somebody that had, you cannot buy that card from Topps anymore. But if Grand Admiral Thrawn comes out, which he is coming out, shout out to the new show Ahsoka is coming out like August 23rd.
Catch it on Disney Plus.
He's going to be in that show, so they'll probably do a Topps Now card for him in that show, but it will be different than the actual Grand Admiral Thrawn card I have. So they can redo characters, they just can't do the exact same card.
Yep.
And they can only do it off of a show or a movie. So if they'll do one card for Grand Admiral Thrawn in Ahsoka, and then if he's not in any more movies or shows or whatever, they won't do any more for him. But it's just an interesting. Go ahead.
Kind of piggybacking on the Ahsoka topic, how are you feeling about the show?
Well, I watched the trailer the other day, and they're genius at marketing to me, because Grand Admiral Thrawn was the picture that I saw that grabbed my attention to want to watch the trailer. Because if his picture wasn't in the trailer, I probably wouldn't have even watched it. But his picture was in the trailer, so I was like, "Oh, I gotta watch this." I watched the trailer.
Yeah,
I was totally hooked. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, the thing I love about Ahsoka is like her backstory, how she was a Padawan. She, obviously she learned from the best, Anakin Skywalker, which, seeing her master go into the dark side and all that stuff. And what I like the most is that she has a white lightsaber.
That is pretty cool. Anakin's also in it too.
Is it? Is he?
He is.
We'll
probably
get some Anakin now.
Yeah.
Topps Now.
Probably.
Question, Justin, for you.
Yeah.
Is Topps licensed to handle Disney IP?
So that's a good question. I know they're licensed to print Star Wars. I know that.
Which is the
Disney
rest
IP,
of
Disney. Yeah. Well, they don't have anything besides Star Wars for Disney, though.
Right.
Because Star Wars is the only. Go ahead.
My question is kind of like, how would it conflict with Lord Kana?
So I've seen Darth Vader and I want to say Yoda or Luke Skywalker, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Darth Vader. They have cards in Lorcana.
They do?
They do. I've already seen them on eBay.
Wow.
So it's not a conflict. Like, they probably just both have the license to print it, but I'm sure what it is Topps can print as many Star Wars, cards they can. They're just, every time they do, Disney's getting a nice tip. Nice little portion of it, you know what I mean?
Royalties.
Yeah, and then Disney can always do it. So now,
that makes sense.
Getting back to baseball here, we will have a whole episode about Star Wars later on. Please trust me. Getting back to baseball, I wanted to talk about, since you brought up licensing, that's actually what I was going to get into next. When it comes to baseball is one of the main sports where you have to be careful with what products you buy with licensing. So what I mean by that is, in football, you can buy Panini, you can buy Upper Deck, you can buy, you name it. If it's an NFL product, they're all going to have their logos, they're going to have, they're just, you wouldn't know any different. Now, when you look at baseball cards, if you buy Topps or you buy Bowman, you're good to go. Now, nothing against Don Russ or Panini or any of that stuff. I like those cards a lot for basketball and for football. But if you buy those cards in baseball, they're not going to have their team's logo on it. They're only going to, yeah.
It's such a hindrance, and it's kind of frustrating because Panini produces some beautiful cards.
They do, and I've got some here I was going to show, because I found this out after I had already bought in these in a few blasters. But so hopefully this is not too blurry and you can see this. This is a Bombs Away Mark McGwire, really shiny, awesome insert, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the very bottom it says Oakland. Doesn't say Oakland A's. It doesn't. There's no A's emblem on here, logo or nothing. It's just Mark McGuire, Oakland.
So,
It
yeah, I see what you're saying. A beautiful card being ruined by politics and
yeah,
business.
and same here. Check out this Drew Jones Unleashed with a freaking bear in the back and snakes and wolves. Like that's such an awesome insert card. And
Yep.
it's Drew Jones who plays for Arizona. No logo. Can't tell
Oh my,
you the name of the team he plays for.
crazy. Do
And
they
then
like
even
Photoshop the uniforms also?
well, it's just a red uniform. They just blank it out like it's just red. And
Oh,
then same with Mark McGuire. It's just a gray uniform. And then this is another one. Even the OGs. Pete Rose, Mr. 3000, insert card. Beautiful card. And he plays for Cincinnati. And no
no sign of the
It's just
Reds,
a
nothing.
white uniform. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but for like me, if I want to buy a box of cards, I want to buy a box with a bunch of guys that they're missing the logos, and if especially if I'm paying around the same price, I'd rather have the box with the guys with the logos. And
Like,
many collectors feel the same way because you'll look at what the cards go for, and they go for much more from Bowman and Topps Chrome.
so my question is, if you're doing a Raz, right,
Mhm.
for baseball, specifically Panini product, what happens if you have two teams in a state? Let's say the Chicago, the White Sox, and the Bears.
So you have to look it up. Like I've ran into that issue. I've had cards where they're like older players that I didn't know, and it says like you said Chicago, and I'm like, which team in Chicago? And I had to look it up and see what team they played for. It doesn't tell you. Like,
Did I say the Bears? I meant the Cubs. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's good. Same with New York though. Like New York,
Yankees, Mets.
which one? Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want any Mets cards. I want Yankee cards.
I don't want either one of them, but you know.
Right, Mr. Red Sox over here.
So this one is actually also not licensed, but it's Leaf and it's autographed by Mr. Pedro Martinez. It's a one-of-one printing plate.
So that's the plate.
It's a printing
That's
plate. So if you don't know what a printing plate is, for our listeners, a
Mhm.
printing plate is what they used to actually imprint and mark the cards themselves. So they use this printing plate over and over and over and over and over and over again to make a bunch of these cards. Then when they were done with that year, all right, we're not going to make any more cards. They pulled the printing plate out. They put this leaf sticker on the back. And then, well, they put the sticker on the back afterwards, but Pedro Martinez autographed the front, and then it's certified on the back. And it's pretty cool. But it's a one-of-one.
Wow.
And printing plates are starting to get more and more popular. You see them in a lot of sports, too. Like, I've seen them in Star Wars. I've seen them in baseball, football, basketball.
It's a cool concept because it's almost like the 0 out of 0 card, if you think about
Pretty
it.
much, yeah.
Because all cards come from that plate. That's the assumption, at least. They could probably have multiple plates, but I'm just taking a shot in the dark that a lot of cards come from one plate.
Yeah, they do. So something else I wanted to mention, now that we're dealing with baseball cards, there's no way to predict the future, obviously, but something that's kind of disappointing from our past is that cards that, like, let's say when we were kids, well, we're pretty close to the same age, a little older than you are, but kids or cards that we collected as like early childhood, or maybe like, I'll just go ahead and say it, late 80s, early 90s, right?
Ooh, you just dated yourself.
So I was born in 89, but
Mhm.
some of the cards I got from my father from the late 80s, right? Like Mark McGuire rookie cards, Greg Maddux rookie cards. You grow up thinking, oh man, these are going to be worth a lot of money someday, right? Nope,
Yep.
they're not worth squat. Why?
What do you attribute that to?
So, well, one main reason, but a second reason for Mark McGuire. Obviously, the first reason being The junk wax era.
The what?
The junk wax era. So if you haven't heard of this, it's basically the time frame. If you look it up, some places will tell you it's roughly about 7 years, about 87 to 94, right? Late 80s, early 90s, where they basically baseball cards got super popular. The demand like shot up because there were a lot of really good rookies. It was Mark McGwire, Greg Maddux. A lot of guys were coming into the league, and so these companies printing these cards were like, we got a high demand, let's print more cards. So they started printing like 3 times the amount that they normally print. So trying to, make up for the demand, well, they overshot how many, when you take you're making this many cards, you shoot up by 3 times that, all of a
Right.
sudden the market's flooded. So there's a million of them, like a million of these cards running around. So that's why, it's called the junk wax era, because there's just so many of them. And it's people, kind of worry that we're in a junk wax era now because of the amount of cards that are being printed. You just got to hope that that's not the case. But
Yeah.
and that's another reason why like 1-of-1s are so popular, or anything numbered, or if there's some way to make it more rare, then those are the more popular cards.
I
Not
agree. I
just a
mean,
rookie card, but if it's numbered, or if it's some way distinctly made more rare.
it's crazy to think about that. Like, how just the amount of printing just basically changed the whole generation of baseball cards.
Yeah.
How do you think the steroids era
Well,
affected baseball
that
cards?
was the second reason why I was going to say Mark McGwire's cards aren't worth anything, because he took steroids. All the
What about
guys that
Sammy
took,
Sosa?
I mean, he's from the same time frame.
Yep.
And that's not to say some of these guys' cards aren't worth a lot of money. You might be able to find some of them that are worth a lot, but the majority of like I've got probably like 4 or 5 Mark McGwire rookie cards that aren't worth nothing. Same with Greg Maddux. I've got like 4 or 5 of them. They're not worth anything. Like $1 or 2 maybe.
Question for you, Justin, since you're my sports card connoisseur. Error cards. Is there any demand for them?
It depends. Some of them, yes. I've got an error card and nobody cares about it because it's 2 crappy players. But if it's an error card and it's like somebody that people care about, you'll probably find some people that will appreciate it, or want it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the error card I have on the front of the card, it's Rudy Gay, who's a role player, basketball player, and
Mhm.
then on the back of the card it's Cam Reddish. And it's like, wait
Oh,
a second, what just happened? It's
I
not like
have.
it got cut in the wrong place and you got part of a card and part of another card. It's a completely different card on the back, and they're not stuck together. It's just, hey, today he's Rudy Gay. Turn it over. Now he's Cam Reddish.
I have a pretty interesting error card that I own. It's actually a Yu-Gi-Oh card, right?
Mm-hmm.
The card itself, it's 2 cards. It's supposed to be Elemental Hero Chaos Neos, and then Rainbow Dragon. Just 2 different monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the picture, it has Chaos Neos. In the title, it says Rainbow Dragon. $5,000 card.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you never know. Some of them could be worth more. It just depends. You never know with cards. I feel like sometimes you'll get cards and you'll be like, oh man, this is going to be worth so much. And then you
Mhm.
find out that a card's only worth what someone will pay for it.
Yeah. It's all about hype.
A lot of it has to do with timing. I agree.
Yeah. So, in terms of our rip tonight, maybe our audience wants to see a little preview.
Oh,
What do you
sure.
think we have for tonight?
Well, they're going to be listening to this after the rip because it's going to
Yep.
be tomorrow. But if you want to go back and watch the rip, we're going to do it on Facebook. So just go to my Facebook. You'll see it. I've got one box, a mega box of Topps Chrome 2021, one mega box of Topps Chrome 2022, and then three mega boxes of 2023 Bowman.
Ooh.
And then I'll break down on the rip what we're actually looking for in some of these.
Stay tuned.
It's gonna be fun. I am excited. But do you have anything else you want to add for baseball?
Not really. I feel we covered all bases.
All right. Well, so next week we are doing Batman. I am very excited for Batman. I way overdid it on Batman. I've got a lot for us to go open in Batman. But if you guys have any questions about Batman, baseball, anything, email us at thecacpod@gmail.com. That is the CACpod@gmail.com. We will answer your questions on the next episode. And my name's Justin.
I'm Ike.
And we are Crazy About
Crazy
Cards.
about cards.
See you
Thank
next
you very
time.
much, guys.